Hello everyone, it's Robin the Delta Crafter and I want to thank you for joining me for another video on my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be making a big bold beach scene. We're going to start with the Adirondack chair die from Simon Says Stamp. We'll add in some palm trees to our scenery with the palm tree set from Hero Arts. To create our bold background, we're going to be using several different distress ink colors in Mustard Seed, Spice Marmalade, Barn Door, Wilted Violet, and Blueprint Sketch. We're also going to be creating a little bit of some sand, some beach, with antique linen and tea dye. You see weatherwood there, but I end up trading out weatherwood for some salvage patina later on. We're also going to be using VersaFine ink and Onyx Black. And then, of course, we're going to be stamping our creation onto some Nina Classic Crest Solar White and 80-pound weight. I have my jewel picker here to help me pick up my small pieces of my die cuts. And then, of course, to do my ink blending, I'm going to use my ink blending brushes. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to start out by creating our bold sunset background. And this is going to be a beach scene. We're going to have a bold sunset, and then we're also going to have a little bit of sand and beach scene at the bottom. So I'm going to bring in a couple of pieces of mint tape, and I'm going to place them about 1/3 of the way up from the bottom of my panel. Mint tape is a low tack tape that can be used to mask off areas that you don't want inked up. You can also use Post-it tape or any other type of low tack tape that you have on hand. So I'm going to start at the bottom where my sunset is going to be starting from my horizon line. So I'm going to bring in my mustard seed first, and I'm going to lay down a good amount of that mustard seed to give me a bold background. So before I go in with my mustard seed, or any of my ink colors for that matter, I'm going to tap off a little bit because I can always add color, but I can't take it away. So it's easier to tap off first and then go back into that same color that I tapped off and bring more in when I feel like that's necessary. So I've added in my Spice Marmalade as well as now I'm on my barn door. And you can see that I'm coming in from the sides, kind of creating a little bit of a rounded or oval effect with my ink blending. So that kind of looks more like a sunset. So I've added the Wilted Violet, and now I'm on my Blueprint Sketch. And then I'm going to go back down my colors to make sure that I have a good blend between all of my 5 colors that I have that I'm using today for this background. So I'm ending with that mustard seed, just touching that area up again, and now I'm happy with the results that I've achieved. So I'm going to peel back this mint tape, and that's going to reveal this part of the card or the scene that's going to be the beach scene. You can see we got a nice crisp line there, which is exactly what I want. So at first I thought I was going to tape off the horizon line and then just start blending my beach scene from there. But I decided not to do that because what I really want is kind of a little bit more of a seamless blend between the beach scene and the horizon line or the skyline. I don't want such a hard contrast. So what I'm going to do in order to kind of meld those two together is I'm going to blend that antique linen, which I'm bringing in now, all the way up to the base or the bottom of my horizon line. That's going to give me a little bit, it's still going to be a distinct line, but not as harsh as it would be if I had that area masked off. So I'm going to cover the entire bottom third of the panel with the antique linen. And you can see there where I'm starting to blend that up into my mustard seed and a little bit of that carved pumpkin. So I've gotten that good amount of that antique linen down. And you see how that kind of softens the line between the mustard seed and the antique linen. If I had used my my mask, that line would have been a lot harsher and a lot more pronounced, and that's just not what I wanted. So now I'm bringing in the tea dye, and I'm coming in as sort of a triangle or angle on the edges, because I want to kind of make a focus to the middle portion of the beach scene on the sand. That's kind of what sunsets look like, and so that's what I was trying to mimic. So our beach scene is coming together, and I'm very happy with this background that we've created. So let's move on to the beach chair, the Adirondack chair. So I've decided to use a piece of aqua colored cardstock that I had in my stash. And I'm going to use that aqua color paper to cut out the top layer of my Adirondack chair. This is going to be the chair that's going to be sitting in our beach scene, and I wanted it to add just a nice contrasting pop of color to our scene. So I've gone ahead and cut out the Adirondack chair in the aqua color, and I've also cut it out of some white cardstock so that I can add those to the back of the assembled chair to add some dimension. You can see that the chair comes in a couple of pieces. So there's the base layer, and then there's a couple of additional layers that have a wood grain texture to them. They really add a lot of detail to this die. So now that I've got all my pieces cut out, this is where I'm going to bring in that salvage patina to add a little bit more dimension to this Adirondack chair. I kind of wanted my Adirondack chair to look like it was worn and loved, and that will make it look like in our scene like it's a place that someone would love to sit, and they sit there often, and it's kind of a favorite place to be. So I'm bringing in that salvage patina. I'm just hitting some of the most loved or well-worn places I think might be on an Adirondack chair or any type of lawn chair. Using my Barely Arts glue, I'm going to assemble all the pieces together. So I'm going to first glue my 2 layers of white cardstock together. I really love this Barely Arts glue. It's a great adhesive, and it also comes with a couple of different needles and tips. I love the fine tip nozzle that you can use, because it just makes it easy to get in all your little tight spaces and use all your little small die cuts. So now I've adhered the aqua base onto our white bases, and now I'm adding all the wood grain textured pieces to the assembly that we're working on here. This die cut even has 2 little arms of the chair, and that is so cute. It just adds, again, so much texture and dimension to the finished die cut. So I'm going to come in with a little bit more of that salvage patina and darken up some spaces and places on this die cut to add a little bit more dimension, depth, and texture. I'm also using the small detail brush from Simon Says Stamp, and that is a perfect type size brush to use for small details like this. So our Adirondack chair is assembled and complete. It's ready to go. Can you see that detail? See the wood grain on there? So pretty. So now I'm going to bring in the panel again, the inked up panel that we created earlier. And I want to add a little bit more texture into our sandy area. So I'm going to put my chair down approximately where I'm going to place it once I put the whole card together. And I'm going to come in with an alcohol ink marker. You can use any alcohol markers or any type of marker that you have. Just going to add a little bit of few dots and some texture to the background or to the sand area of the background. There's no rhyme or reason to what I'm doing or how I'm doing it or how many dots I'm laying down. I'm just going with the flow. In order to soften that alcohol ink down a little bit, I'm going to bring in my brown ink blending brush and just go over with whatever ink is remaining on my brush and just kind of go over those marker spots a little bit to kind of tone them down just a little bit so there's not as much contrast between them and the ink that I have. So now I'm bringing in the Hero Arts Palm Trees set, and I'm going to be using my Misty to stamp some palm trees. one of the reasons why I want to use my Misty is because I'm going to be using the VersaFine Onyx Black ink, which is a pigment ink. And this pigment this ink is very thick, but what I want is I want a solid black image. And so I already know that I'm going to have to stamp this a couple of times in order to get the dark solid image that I want. So having a Misty or any type of stamping tool absolutely helps so much when you're trying to do that. So I'm going to put down my first palm tree. Rub my microfiber towel over my palm tree. And while I did get a good impression, it's not as dark as I would like for it to be. So I'm going to ink my stamp up a second time and stamp again. Rub my towel. And now I've gotten the really dark image that I was going for. So now I'm going to stamp a palm tree on the other side. One of the things that I like about this stamp, this particular palm tree, is that you can twist your palm tree stamp in different directions and kind of get a different look from your palm tree. So you can have that one stamp and stamp it a couple of different ways to get different looking trees. So I'm going to stamp the base of the tree, the trunk of the tree on the left-hand side. Then I'm going to do something a little bit different with the right-hand side. So not all palm trees grow straight up into the air. Some of them have a curved trunk to them. So I wanted to kind of mimic that or achieve that with this stamp. So what I've done is the part that's in the tree, I've secured down to the door of my Misty, and now I'm going to manipulate the rest of the trunk of the tree to kind of have that curved effect that I see so often on beaches in the Caribbean and in Hawaii and other places. So now that I've gotten it curved just the way that I want it to be, I've secured it down to my Misty door. And now I'm going to come in with that Onyx Black ink again, and I'm going to ink this up twice to, again, get that dark black image. Making sure that the top of my my trunk is embedded in my tree so that it all looks like it was one piece. Rub it with my microfiber towel one more time. And there we have it. So while I had my panel in my Misty, I went ahead and stamped a sentiment. This sentiment, it comes from a stamp set from Honeybee Stamps. And now I'm ready to assemble the card. So I'm going to pop up my card panel with some foam tape, and I'm going to secure that to my card base, which is made out of Accent Opaque 120-pound weight cardstock. All of the products that I'm using today will be listed and linked on my coordinating blog post, so you'll be able to find all the products there. I'm using that Barely Arts glue one more time to secure our Adirondack chair to the front panel of the card. And with that, this card is complete. I don't know about you, but I'd love to be sitting in that chair on that beach with that beautiful scenery to admire. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, please consider giving it a thumbs up. And I'd love for you to join the Delta Crafter family by subscribing to the channel and joining me on Instagram and Facebook at the Delta Crafter. The website for all the details will be linked in the description. Bye everyone, enjoy!